Hello, YouTube. This is episode 2 of the Escape from Alcatraz training vlog. And in this episode, I'll be going over my training plan for the 12-week prep that I'm doing for the race. This is the 12-week Olympic distance triathlon guide from Ross Edgley's book Blueprint. This is a PDF that came with the audio book that I got. And it's just a 12-week plan for a Olympic distance triathlon, which is a little bit different than what I'm going to be doing because my swim is longer, my run is longer, and my bike is shorter. So I'm going to use this for the most part, but I'm going to change up those just a little bit to adapt me for the race that I'm doing specifically. And it's broken down into 12 weeks. Basically, it's kind of 3 weeks of stepping up intensity, and then every fourth week is kind of a little different. So, like this first fourth week, we have complete 50% of the race distance nonstop. So then you'll kind of see an increase in like the training volume I'm doing 60-minute cycle, 70-minute cycle, 80-minute cycle, and then it'll drop down to a 45-minute cycle. And the next 4 weeks, it'll pick back up a little bit. So then we go back to 70, 70, 80, and then on week 8, drop back down to 45. You can think of it kind of like waves. So it goes up every 3 weeks, kind of tapers off at 4, and then starts over again. So this is Sunday of week 1. I just finished doing my long ride. If you couldn't tell by my cool riding outfit that I have. This first week went pretty well. I got all my workouts in pretty good. The Saturday one I did have to skip because I had kind of a conflict that entire day. So I accidentally skipped one of the days, but I'm going to try to be very diligent about doing all the workouts to the best of my abilities. So for the swim workouts, I am going to change those to be a little bit longer because of the longer distance, the 1.5 miles versus a 1.5 kilometer that an Olympic distance is, which is a little bit less than 1 mile. So my longer swim specific technique works, I'm going to do the upper end of the range that they have. So this past week I did a 45-minute pool swim just at kind of a steady state. And for the basically speed swimming drills that we have here, I'm going to be doing pretty much what they have here, not really altering much of that because I do want to get some good speed work in. That's kind of something that I lack in swimming is speed. The distance I can usually do, but I get passed by basically everyone. And then on the running specific days, I don't really have any hills around here that I can run. I might try to do that one day because it is really good exercise. But for the most part, I'm just going to do a threshold run for these days. Like this week, I did a little bit of a threshold run. Then I'm going to go for a little bit longer on the second week, a little bit longer on the third week, and then drop it off a little bit on the fourth week and kind of just increase it like that each time. On the run days, you'll notice there is also a 30-minute strength session, and I'll go over what I'm doing for my resistance training more in depth next week. But the strength sessions are not going to be very intense or very hard on the central nervous system or anything. Those are mostly just for prehab and rehab. So I'm just going to kind of be working on my joints a little bit, doing a lot of very low intensity stuff, a lot of band work just to prevent injury. That's the main point of the strength sessions during this 12-week prep, is just basically to prevent me from getting injured. I'm going to try to keep the rest days where they are because I like them being after my speed swimming day and my threshold run with the strength session right after that, because I do kind of need a rest on those days. And then we'll have a cycling specific day, which for this, I'm actually just going to do workouts on Zwift, which is kind of like an online virtual reality training thing that I have set up with my triathlon bike inside of my apartment, which is what I was riding on the first day. That's my triathlon bike hooked up to a trainer that is then linked to my laptop that I can ride on Zwift. And then on Friday, we're going to be doing long swims. So, like I said, I'm going to be doing kind of just the top end of whatever the distance is, maybe a little bit longer if I'm feeling like it, just to get a little bit extra work capacity built up. And then on Saturday, we basically have a long run on those days. So it's supposed to be easy and off road, but there's not much off road where I live. So unless I go find a trail or something, I'm probably just going to run on road around the beach and just do it kind of as easy as I can with some nice cushy shoes, and then have another strength training session after that. And then Sundays are going to be my long training days for my cycling. That I'm going to try to do outdoor just so that I can get outdoor and actually be on the road and not just be training specifically on Zwift with a trainer, because training on the road is a little bit different than training indoors. And I want to be ready for riding on the road because it is going to be in San Francisco. So it's not really a straight line like the Malibu triathlon is. So I'm going to have to get pretty used to riding on the road, especially since my triathlon bike is a little bit harder to ride just because of the way that it's designed. It's designed to go really fast in a straight line, and that's pretty much it. So turns are not a good thing on the triathlon bike. Then if we look at the second week, it just kind of increases what I'm doing a little bit. So it's the same basic things, they just get increased a little bit each week. And then the fourth week is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more specific for the race. So this will be 50% of the race distance nonstop in the pool, which is important. And then for my running day this week, I'm going to be running at my 5K pace. So that's going to help me improve my pacing for the race because the pacing is very important. The cycling workouts, I'm just going to keep kind of fun and do whatever I want on Zwift because I feel like I'm pretty prepared for the cycling. I just need to be in good condition for the cycling part. So that'll kind of be just a fun day on Zwift. Maybe I'll do a race or bike with a friend or something like that. Then the swimming, this one is just going to be about 30 minutes of technique work. So I'm going to back off a little bit on the distance there. And then running is going to back down a little bit. So 30 minutes, going from 50 minutes the week before down to 30 minutes. So I'll just have like kind of a little bit of a break. So it'll just be kind of getting me ready for the race in regards to the speed for the run and the swim, and then kind of taking a break on the distance at the end of the week. And then as we can see for week 5 through 8, it's pretty much the same thing. I'm still going to be doing the same workouts. And then on that fourth week or eighth week in this case, we're going to be doing half the distance again. Then we're going to do a little bit of a training at the 5K pace and drop down the distance on the long swim, run, and bike at the end of the week. And then after week 8, that's when we really get specific for what I'm going to be doing in the race. So as you can see, week 9 and 10 are a little bit harder. The swims start to become a little bit harder. The threshold runs that I'll be doing are going to be a bit longer that week also. The training that I'll be doing on Zwift is going to be a little bit more intense, but I'm going to try to keep those days pretty easy so I can focus on swimming and running. And on the long swim days, as you can see, first of all, they get longer. They go up to an hour. And I'm going to try to get in some open water on those days, if at all possible, just so that I can get more adapted to swimming in the ocean and swimming in the salt water, because that is kind of another factor in and of itself. Swimming in the ocean is a lot different than swimming in the pool. The run days, again, are pretty long, and I'm supposed to run on terrain similar to what the race route will be, which I'll be doing pretty much the whole time because I'm going to be running on road. I probably need to find something that's a little steep because San Francisco does have some elevation to it, so that's going to help me get ready for the elevation in the race. And for the cycling days, I'm going to be doing part of the ride at my goal race pace, which is essentially the pace that I think that I can maintain for the majority or hopefully all of the bike ride. And that's to kind of get me ready for that specific pace that I want to be riding in the race and see what it feels like. And then the last 2 weeks, week 11 is very similar. I'm basically going to be doing the same things, kind of some high intensity, like get me in the mindset of the race this week. And then week 12 is going to be the week of the race. So Sunday is going to be race day this week. That'll be June 11th. As you can see, there's a little bit more rest built into this week because I'm going to let my body recover so that I'll be hopefully at 100% when I go into the race. And then the swims are going to be a little bit easier. I'm going to do some sprints in there just so that I can have my pacing down for the swim. The cycle is going to be a little bit easier, just going to be doing a little bit at goal pace. And then you'll see that I'm also doing a run right after the bike. That's generally called a brick workout. So you go straight from riding the bike into running, which is what you do in the triathlon too. And you can kind of get like some jelly legs whenever you get off the bicycle. It actually happened to me in the first triathlon. I had been riding the bike and all the blood gets into your quads. And then when you jump off the bike, you kind of just collapse because your legs aren't adjusted to running yet. So they feel just really wobbly. And then another short swim with just a couple sprints in there to keep some speed up. And again, we're going to have a brick workout the day before the race, and that's going to be basically the same thing, just going at my goal race pace and then easy straight off the bike for a run. So that's kind of the general overview of what I'm going to be doing for my race prep. Like I said, next week I'll get a little bit more into specifics of what I'm going to be doing for the resistance training part of that, because it's not really what you would generally see people doing at the gym, kind of like bodybuilding workouts or powerlifting workouts or things to build muscle. This is, like I said, for prehab and rehab and just to prevent injury. That's why I'm calling it resistance training specifically, because that's what it is. So that's it for this week. If you have any questions specifically about the training plan that I'm using, why I'm using it, and how I kind of decided to adapt it to my race specifically, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week.